Hey, it's Brian with Legit Betting Edge. I appreciate you watching today. Today we're going to talk about how every game tells a story. Now, why is this important? First of all, every story has a beginning, middle, and end. Every game has a beginning, middle, and end. And how the events play out in the game are very important for you to determine who's going to win or cover the next game, depending on the sport. But every sport, every game tells a story. Tells a story about the players, tells a story about the coaches, tells a story about how well they play together, how efficient they are, how good the decision making is, if the decision making is poor, if they're not executing well. Even if they win and beat an inferior team in that game, it's a big factor towards the next game. Is there a lot of turnovers in the game? When do the turnovers happen? Who's doing the turnovers? How does this occur, right? So let's take Major League Baseball, for example. So you have 9 innings. If a team plays poorly at the beginning of the game, they're going to lose that game, probably. But what you're looking for is this team playing well enough at the end of the game? And I'm not talking about relief pitching, right? I'm talking about the players, the hitters, the base running, the manager. Is he putting in? Is he making the right decisions on the pitchers? I'll give you an example. A couple of years ago, Bochy, who was the manager of the Giants and won some world championships. I saw him replace a pitcher too late, and the game's lost. And of course, they went to go on to lose a couple more games because Bochy just wasn't on point. He just didn't have it going. And of course, he's mad at his pitcher. But listen, you're just not making the right decisions of when to put your pitcher in, when your pitcher is beat up. I can look at this. I'm looking at numbers on my phone while this game's going on. I don't even have to watch the game on TV. But I'll tell you this. If you do get a chance to watch the highlights are on YouTube for every single game. They got them condensed, right, to 9 minutes or whatever for basketball, for football, for baseball. They do show you the highlights, and a lot of times that helps. But you may even have to go inside on the play-by-play. If you didn't get a chance to watch the game on TV, like I don't watch many games, and you're looking to target a team for the next game, you're going to want to go in and look at the play-by-play and try to read that, right? Try to see what's happening in there. I know you can't get a feel for what happened during the game. You want to watch the highlights also, but you want to put it all together. And what it does is it starts to show you what a team is doing. If you're doing it for the same team over and over and over, which I think is a huge thing here, right? So you don't want to conquer every single team. I think you should, if you want to be real efficient, you should look at certain teams, a handful of teams, let's say 5 of each sport, and watch those teams over and over and over again. Read about them, understand them, watch highlights, see the decisions that are being made, and you'll start to get an idea for the storyline for that team, right? So you'll know when that team is ready to lose because they're not playing well, and you'll know when they're ready to win because they are playing well, or they're playing well enough to beat the next team. And that's what you want to do. That's how you concentrate. And every team, every game, every inning, every quarter, every play that anybody runs tells you a story. Now, I'm going to give you an example. Last year in the NFL, the Cardinals were playing the Seahawks on Monday Night Football. And the Cardinals were playing poorly. Murray, the QB for the Cardinals, just to summarize this, he's getting the ball out late. Their defense is weak. Kingsbury, the coach, he's not, Cliff Kingsbury, the coach, is not making the right calls. He's not doing anything. They're not very disciplined. I'm stumbling over myself, but let me paraphrase this. They weren't very disciplined. They were running plays late. They weren't on time. And so as I'm watching this Monday Night Football game, I'm saying to myself, first of all, the Cardinals are going to lose this game. They got no shot to win it, which they didn't. And then I said, they're not going to win any game for the rest of the season, probably. And I knew they weren't going to win the next week. So when you're able to really watch a game, sit and get your emotions out of it and pay attention to what's actually going on in the game, you can see whether they're being efficient, whether they're making the right decisions, whether the sideline's making the right decisions, whether the manager's making the right decisions, whether the players are playing together, whether they're disciplined or undisciplined, whether they're too emotional. And what you do is you're going to get a flavor for what this team's going to do next. And it doesn't matter. Point spreads don't matter during these things. You see a clear inefficiency in a team, chances are they're going to blow the next game for you. But you got to know how to look at it. You got to know what to look for. Now, in basketball, you might look at turnovers. You might look at assists, right? Assists mean they're playing together. Look, a team might shoot lights out in basketball and have a high shooting percentage for that night, but they didn't assist each other. That means they're not playing together. They're playing hero ball. That's not going to work against a complete team, right? So you kind of can look at these things and analyze these stats and get an idea of what's going to happen next. So you want to be looking at these games. You want to be looking at a handful of teams. You want to be watching and really trying to get a narrative, try to get the story, right? Try to understand what's happening within the team, not just on the field, but all the vibes in the team. Are they playing really well? Do they feel really good about themselves? Or are they just flying by the seat of their pants, winning on talent because these other teams aren't good, or losing a lot of games and they're not ready to win the next game and you're going to bet against them in the next game? So those are the kinds of things you want to look at. Every game tells a story, and it's a progressive thing. So a lot of people have power rankings, and they like to update those power rankings with numbers after each game. That's all fine and good, but if you're not watching the game, if you're not checking the play-by-play, if you're not looking at the interaction, you're missing the intuitive feel that you need to really get in and make concrete, valid, big-time decisions. And of course, these decisions will determine how much money you're going to bet, right? So if you really know what's happening with a team, you can bet a little more and be more confident. We talked about this yesterday in yesterday's video. So that's it. That's what I got. Every game tells a story about two teams. Follow these teams. Get in touch with what these teams are doing, not just numbers, not just pitchers in Major League Baseball. There are hitters. There's batters 5 through 9, 5 through 8, and then the pitchers 9 if you're in the National League. But all the batters, these low-level batters that are only hitting 200, 198, 204, whatever, are they getting ready to hit in this next game? Did they play well? Did they make contact with the ball in the previous game? You know, these are some things you want to look at, and then what you do is you put together a formula. And you're always looking at the same things. And what you do is you start to get a real intuitive feel for what's going to happen on the court, on the field, you know, in the NFL, in the game for each team. So I hope this helped. I jumped all around, but every game has a beginning, middle, and end. Every story has a beginning, middle, and end. And you want to use that to your advantage however you can. I hope that helped you. If it did, hit the like button. Leave a comment in the comment section below. We'll talk about it. Appreciate that. Appreciate you watching. Take care. Talk to you next time.